our first aircraft is an F-18 at the 90. Stand clear to port catwalk and foul line. Stand by to recover aircraft. This is a drill.
Through the ages, it bravely gave it life. Will always break its word. The money will still fall on this soul. For freedom, the battle rages on.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Caesar with the Battle Rhythm Podcast. I am here live. How are you guys doing tonight? First and foremost, it is Tuesday, May 20th already. Gosh dang, almost the end of the year, the month. It's coming up. I cannot believe that it's going that fast. So, you are here listening live to the Battle Rhythm Podcast on Voice of the People Radio and TV Network, also on UC Digital and on Patriot Radio. We are coming to you guys live, and we are here today, and we're going to go over again, we're back in the home studio, so there you guys go. We didn't have a in studio guest today, so we're going to be doing this from the house, from the office, from the what do you call it, the home studio. So yeah, we're back in our old stomping ground. So we're going to go through our daily bread here. And as you guys know, I kind of shied away because when you have live guests, it's a little bit different when you have certain things, right? The vibe is different when you have people there, so you don't want to have to go through certain things. So here we go. What is today? May 20th. So May 20th is it is National Stream Day. Can you believe that? It's actually National Stream Day today. I didn't believe it either until I saw it. I'm like, what is going on? So yeah, National Streaming Day. So if you're doing this podcast, or you're just streaming, or you're just binge watching, Ted Lasso, whatever it is, today is the day. Also, National Be a Millionaire Day. So everybody has been a millionaire in Monopoly. So there you go. I mean, at least once in your lifetime will be a millionaire, right? Also, today is National Pick Strawberries Day. Strawberries. I remember when I lived in California, Oxnard was actually known well for a lot of these strawberries. So a lot of strawberry fields, and it was gonna be on. So there you go. All right, let's get National Quiche Lorraine Day. Anybody like quiche out there? Quiche sometimes is good, sometimes it's not. I mean, depends on who makes it, right? So yeah, that is cool. National Super Bee Apple Day, and National. I know we have a lot of enthusiasts, a lot of dog lovers out there, a lot of pets and everything. Today is National Rescue Dog Day. It was founded in 2018 by the National Day Calendar and tells that research. All right. So with that said, some of the notable birthdays for today. Dolly Madison, the fourth First Lady of the U.S. She was the wife of President James Madison, was born on this date in 1868, and she passed away in 1849. William Fargo, Wells Fargo, hello, co-founder of Wells Fargo and American Express. He was born on this day in 1818 and died in 1881. Emily Berliner, 1851, 1929, inventor of the gramophone, or the gramophone record. Let's see, Rose Hawthorne Lathrop, 1851, 1926, the daughter of Nathaniel Hawthorne, who became a nun and founded the Dominican Sisters of Hawthorne. Francis Raymond Fosberg, 1908, 1993. He was a botanist who helped develop the standards for studying coral reef and the study of the islands. All right, James Stewart. Everybody knows James Stewart, right? Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. It's a Wonderful Life. Very many people don't know that he was actually a brigadier general in the armed forces, so in the Army. And he actually was a pilot in the Army back in the day. So when he was in World War II, he was a pilot. So it was pretty cool. Actor who earned great distinctions in the films that I just mentioned, including The Murder Man, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and It's a Wonderful Life. William Hewlett, the co-founder of Hewlett Packard. Hal Newhouser, a Major League Baseball pitcher who was known as Hurricane Hal. Cher. Everybody knows Cher. Do you believe? Yeah, that one. 1946. She was born on this day, 1946. She was the award-winning musician and actress who has been dubbed the goddess of pop. All right, so some of the more memorable events. Let's get some more recent stuff, right? In 1862, President Lincoln signs the Homestead Act, opening 84 million acres of public land to settlers. 1873, everybody loves this one, or everybody wears them. Levi Strauss and Jacob Davis receive a patent for blue jeans with copper rivets. There is a reason why those rivets are there, and I've seen these. This is how it's made, or this is why it's made that way. On what is it, the History Channel, I believe. So they have those on there. That I believe they were used for when you were carrying pocket watches. So 1926, according to Thomas Edison, Americans prefer silent movies over talkies. Yeah, we know how that worked out for him. Thomas Edison, you were wrong, my friend. Very, very wrong. So there you go. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Knowing that he was very wrong, especially because nowadays, we love the sound and the sound effects and everything. Movies are not what they used to be back in the day, right? The silent movies and everything. So yeah, it's a long way from 1926, but there were some very, very good actors that came out during that era, like Charlie Chaplin, probably one of most iconic comedic actors of his era or all time. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we're going to be rescheduling. I had a guest today, Jay Stoyan. He is actually having some issues. He was coming in from the Disability Channel. So we are going to be filling in the time until our next guest comes on. We're waiting for John Spagnola, who is actually the CEO of Veteran Strategic Solutions. And we are going to go over some of the things that he's been doing on Capitol Hill. He was in CPAC in Washington, D.C. Back in March, I believe. That's when it was held. There's a lot of things going on right now with legislature and things of that nature. So we're going to be waiting for him. He's going to be coming on here in a few minutes, because I believe it's important that we, not only as veterans, we receive the most up-to-date legislature and legislative laws that are out there, and also the bills that are out there that affect each and every one of us, even for those veteran families as well, because a lot of these things are very important for everybody to do that. So we're going to be discussing some of that. We're also going to tap into a couple of other things that he is very, very passionate about, which is suicide prevention. And so I know that's a very, very touchy subject for many of us. And we're going to be talking to John and what he has going on with that. And it's going to be a great show. Unfortunately, Jay Stoyan was not able to join us today. Like I said, he was I think he's still mourning the fact that the Toronto Maple Leafs lost the NHL playoffs. So I think he's still mourning that. It is what it is. The Panthers, very well. My daughter and I, my 7-year-old daughter and I, were watching it live, and it was pretty fun because we're having a moment. She's like, "Hey, Dad, I think we're going to be playing, or I'm going to be rooting for the white team." And obviously, if you're a fan of NHL, you know that the sweaters that they're wearing, or the uniforms they're wearing, they were blue for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a blue, almost like a Dodger blue. Maybe a little bit darker, like a royal navy blue, and the big white leaf in the front. And she was like, "Dad, I think we're going to go for the white team, which is the Florida Panthers." I said, "Well, that's probably a very, very good idea, since we actually live in the United States. Not that I have anything bad to say about our neighbors up in the north, but we're going to be cheering for our own team, our own country." So that's what we were. But I was very proud of her that she was getting into it, and it was pretty fun. She's like, "Dad," he's like, I've taken her to a few other hockey games here in the local area. There is a team called the Allen Americans, who was actually part of the farm system for the Dallas Stars, I believe. And she loves going to those things because it's she got to meet I believe they had a night that was like meet Bluey. You guys are if you guys have kids, Bluey is one of the probably one of the most popular cartoons that are out there right now. And they had a Bluey day, and she also got to meet the dog Biscuit. He's a bulldog that a character bulldog that they have. It's super fun, and very very family friendly atmosphere. And that's one of the things I really love about going there. So she loves there. The best part about this whole story that I'm telling you guys is that I don't know if she gets it, but she's like, Dad, I really, really like the fights. So she hasn't seen any blood yet, but she really likes it when they start, getting into each other's faces, and they start getting in the sweaters and pulling them over their head, and like the whole Billy Madison. He's like, "Oh, you talking about me?" That type of thing. And it was just funny to hear a 7-year-old say, "He's like, Dad, that is my favorite part about coming to these games." I was like, I didn't even know what to say at that point. I'm like, I guess I raised her right. But yeah, it's fun. I really do recommend if you're in the local area, I recommend going to one of these Allen American games. They're super fun, very, like I said, very family friendly, and a very good bang for your buck type of ticket. um it's fun to be around, so we're gonna be doing that. But hey, first and foremost, or second and foremost, because I already did my first and foremost already, I want to thank a couple of people that have been throughout the entirety of my show, and they have been very, very supportive. I want to thank Scott Gedling. He is one of the sponsors for the Battle Rhythm podcast here on the Voice of the People Radio and TV Network, BC Digital, and Patriot Radio. Scott LLC Construction LLC. Thank you very, very much for your continuous support. Also, I would like to thank one of my very newest sponsors, the American Legion Writers from Post 231. They have graciously agreed to actually sponsor the Battle Rhythm podcast website. So that is in the works. Thank you, ALR 231, my brothers from Lake Texoma. They are my writing group. I do recommend, if you guys ride a Harley, to join one of these groups. If you're a veteran, if you're not a veteran, and you have friends, family, you are able to become a supporter. Great thing to do, because you get to do a lot of fun things. A matter of fact, this coming weekend, for Memorial Day weekend, they are going to do a very, very, very long ride to West Texas, pretty much like the tip of the state. To, if you guys know anything about geography, we are very, very close to the state of Oklahoma, barely about 10 miles from the Red River. And yeah, the Red River separates Texas and Oklahoma. That's where we live, in the Texoma area, just about an hour north of Dallas. And they're making a 12-hour round trip. And I say 12 hours because, it's on a bike. And they're going to go down to West Texas, down where West Texas actually meets New Mexico. So it's gonna be fun. I'm kind of upset at the fact that I'm missing this ride, but things happened. Obviously, there will be other rides, and I'm kind of bummed that I didn't make this one, but it is what it is. So yes, so thank you to the American Legion Writers, Post 231, the Missing in Action Post in Lake Texoma. Thank you very much. And if you're anywhere, I want you guys to check in with me and see where you guys are actually listening from right now. Our social media stuff is already up. So if you're listening to whatever social platform you're on, let me know where you guys are dialing in from, because I am curious to see how much we are reaching. I've had a lot of friends, a lot of people, a lot of contacts that I've met throughout the VFW that are actually listening in. And again, last week you guys missed a great show. It is go back to watch it in the live section on the any on our platforms that we have. I had the VFW National Commander in Chief, Al, the real deal Liphart. I tell you what, this guy was as real as it can get. It was such a great conversation, and it was awesome to see the fact that a very fiery young man was just so involved in the organization. And he was, what is your why? He was just awesome. So if you're listening, there, Chief, thanks for coming again, and I hope I thank you for the shout out that you did to your all of your state department commanders to plug in the Battle Rhythm podcast. So that's awesome. So we're going to be reaching probably every 50 states and the other 2 departments that are out in the Pacific and also in Europe. So that would be super fun if you guys will check in with us. So, all right, June 7th. I want to show you guys. June 7th is coming up, and yes, like I said before, I have been teaming up with a lot of different organizations. One of these organizations is People for a New America, headed and founded by a good friend of mine, Richie Honori, from the band The Sweet, multi-platinum award-winning band The Sweet. They did Ballroom Blitz, of course. Everybody remembers what was it? Wayne's World 1, right? The very first one with Tia Carrere, where he's like, "What are you listening to?" And she was playing that song. And that is how I remember that song. And Richie Honori has been on the show. He's been a guest on the show a few times. Last week he was with Chief Al. So that was super fun. So I've been teaming up with that gentleman. So what's happening on June 7th? Well, there is going to be a telethon, a 8-hour telethon that's going to be coming up. It's going to be live and on through Voice of the People Radio, also on Busey Digital, and also on Patriot Radio. We are going to be on, and I'm going to be doing some of the interviews that are going to be coming up. So make sure you tune into that. It's going to be super fun. And let me show you guys exactly what I'm talking about and what's going to be happening and who's going to be on. There's going to be a lot of things going on. First and foremost, it's going to be through some of our other partners through the Disability Channel, who is headed by Jay Stoyan, who was supposed to be our guest today, but he is having some we're going to have to reschedule with him, and People for New America. And all of this is to actually benefit veterans. Vetsinneed.org. The Veterans First Initiative, like I've been mentioning before throughout the last few shows, is that this organization has been able to raise money, and this is why we're doing the telethon. So there's going to be 4 cities, 8 hours, 2 hours each. We are raising money to actually give to veterans, to give veterans first. What's going to happen is that these guys will be raising money, and there's going to be a lot of musical guests, a lot of guest appearances that are going to be coming on. And what they do is they raise the money to actually provide training programs, training for veterans at no cost to the veteran. Also, be giving these gift cards, right, for veterans that are homeless, to actually go in and actually buy some groceries, buy some, something to eat, things of that nature. So this is a great cause, and this is why I love the fact that I've teamed up with them, because I believe in helping many other people out there. So if you are able to donate, please donate. There is a scan code there. I will have the website for you guys here on the ticker here in a little bit, and we're going to be going on. We're going to be going on here in for 8 hours on June 7th. So whenever you guys want, we're going to be doing that. And so please check it out. Like I said, we're going to be coming through to you through Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, Busey Digital, and also on Patriot Radio. We're going to be streaming live for those 8 hours. So please check it out. Richie Honori is going to be making an appearance that day as well. So it's going to be super fun. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I am going to bring in my very, very first guest, and the gentleman that's going to be coming on. His name is John Spagnola. Like I said, he's the CEO of Veteran Strategic Solutions, and he's going to be telling us exactly what his foundation is about. But first, you all know how I always welcome my very, very first guest as the interview of the week, brought to you by EGA Construction down in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So please welcome John Spagnola. Ladies and gentlemen, John Spagnola. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Caesar?
I am living the dream one nightmare at a time, sir.
The only way to go.
Right, but then nobody ever tells you that it's one nightmare at a time, and sometimes it's a good dream, sometimes it's a really bad dream, but nobody ever says that.
Well, you
But
do a lot of great work for veterans. You get the word out. You're always out there trying to help, and I admire it.
well, thank you, I appreciate that. That is one of the most missions, and as the VFW, I'm a member of the VFW, and one of the things that we do in May is the Day of Service. Well, I believe that as veterans, we never really stop serving, right? Because we serve, we were able to serve this country, but we always are always serving others, right? We should always be there willing to serve. And if you're a believer in the Bible or in Christ, you always serve, right? Regardless of what it is, you're always serving, and that should never stop you, right?
Yeah. I mean, I believe a person is as valuable as they can help others,
Yes,
and
sir.
I think that's what it's about. We have to look outside of ourselves. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have good lives and have fun. I think we have to, but at the same point, we've got to look at who we can help. And there's a lot of need out there. And so, I also think it's therapeutic. When a person is really helping somebody, they feel better. They're more upbeat. Life goes better for them because they're being of use, and I think that's part of what we're supposed to do.
Very much so, very much so. And it's giving back. I think for me, giving back in very many ways that I can. Either physical work or even through this platform, by highlighting and acknowledging other organizations that are helping veterans. Everybody has a way of serving and being that way. And if you're not, I believe that if you're not serving, you're missing something. There's something missing. There's always, I'm not talking about like gratification, right? Because gratification is, always. But I think that there is a sense of thankfulness and humbleness at the same time that when you serve, it's like, what, you're helping those that you're blessed. I think it gives you a different perspective in life.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really do. And I think that's why when vets go, from active to veteran status, they feel a little empty. They're sort of like, well, wait a minute, with my brotherhood, with my mission,
Yeah.
I want to play the game because really, it really gives you an adrenaline rush just to be in that kind of environment. From what I've seen and talked to these guys, they're just blown out. They just want to have more fun, more action, but they want to help.
Right.
So you don't want to disconnect them. And one of the problems was they were told, and I don't know if it's still a fact, but they were told, you shouldn't associate with your buddies for months when you get back. I mean, I don't know how someone would come up with such a ridiculous rule. It's what you need the most,
Yeah, exactly. And I believe our second guest, that is with John, has just shown up.
Okay.
Diane Zamato. So I'm going to bring her in as well. So, Diane, welcome to the Battle Rhythm Podcast. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm living the dream, like I told John, one nightmare at a time.
Absolutely.
Right. So I say that jokingly, but a lot of us veterans that especially combat veterans that suffer from PTSD, that is a true statement. And we sometimes as veterans, I think we have a very morbid sense of humor. Yeah. So we say it like it is, like, but to us it's funny. And some people are like, wow, I don't know if that's offensive or you really need help. I'm like, well, we already need help. This is why I'm coming to you. So please, So, all right. So, John, I was telling our audience earlier today that you are the CEO of Veteran Strategic Solutions. So, why don't you give us a little bit of synopsis of what your organization is about?
Sure. No, appreciate the opportunity. Our organization just focuses on helping veterans and figuring out this. We kind of focus more on the health aspects of veterans. One of the areas that's really consumed a lot of time has been the suicides.
Right.
It's considered the priority by most of the veteran organizations is what can we do about the suicides? And that's one of the things that's really got our attention. And Diane has been of extreme assistance on that. But the idea was we were trying to figure out, this 20 years, stats really haven't changed on the veteran suicides. And you got to sit there scratching your head.
Right.
I mean, every year they get more and more money. I mean, billions and billions of dollars. And you would think there should be some changes that would be noticeable in the suicide arena. And they come up with, and I've worked actually to come up with some of these therapies that are natural, that could help veterans more, like hyperbaric or canine with the dogs, yoga, exercise therapy, acupuncture, chiropractic. There's a lot of philosophies, and a lot of them weren't being, say, allowed into the VA at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And we did a lot of work to open the doors for these natural treatments. So you have this situation where they're getting billions and billions of dollars, the VA I'm talking about, and then they've got all these new treatments, and yet the suicide rate hasn't budged. And you sit there going, what is stuck? What is not seen? So we delved into what they call the Veteran Health Administrative Handbook. And it's basically the rules guide for the VA, what they go for, what they go and use when it comes to, the rules they follow and all different aspects. Right. And one of the things that came up was the fact that, have you heard of the term informed consent?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Is that it kind of goes along with written consent as well, correct?
Yeah, it can and it needs to, but it doesn't always. That's the problem. Typically, in the handbook, it very much mandates that the veterans receive informed consent. And they define that as that a veteran is told the side effects of the medications prior to taking the medications, which makes sense. I mean, anybody should have that, really, right? But especially the veterans, based on the trauma they've been through, right? So it's mandated. They have an understanding of these side effects. Yet, I urge you and your listeners, do a quick survey of veterans that they know. And you'll pretty much find out that the vast majority of the veterans had no idea of the side effects of the medications that were prescribed to them at the VA.
So, John, let me ask you. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
And I think most veterans have a bitter taste in their mouth about the VA system, the VA healthcare system, and a lot of veterans feel that the VA, all they're trying to do is basically fill them up with these prescriptions, just by masking the pain, the nightmares and all this other stuff. All it becomes is just a vessel of pills. I think at one point I had a very personal friend of mine that had 27 medications.
And he was taking it once.
Exactly. Once, sometimes it were twice a day,
right.
depending on what they were taking. Right. And they were taking these, horse-sized pills every time.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a correlation of these, of the cocktail that they're taking? Because I mean, it is literally a cocktail of medicines with the suicide rate that we are experiencing.
Well, there's a lot of things I want to say at once here, but one of them, let me just push back a little bit and say there are many veterans that are very happy with their treatment at the VA. As a matter of fact, you'll find the national veterans groups will have it no other way than to use the VA. So because
correct,
they're amongst their peers, they feel comfortable. A lot of the doctors have expertise at the VA they might not get outside of the VA. So that's one aspect I wanted to mention. But to address what you're saying, and you are correct, there's this tendency to find and look for and find, I should say, a symptom.
Mhm.
And the symptom could be anxiety, depression, hallucinations, can't sleep. There's a large assortment of symptoms, right? And so our concern, and one of the things I'm working on now, is to help turn that around by looking for the source of the symptoms
Right.
instead of treating the symptoms with a drug that masks and hides the symptoms but does not resolve them. So the symptom festers, gets worse, and yet, you might not realize it because you're high or whatever on a drug. And that's not proper medicine. Now, I'm not saying you have a veteran, he's in extreme pain. Yeah, he needs meds. That's okay. But it's short term, and it's with the intention that, hey, we're going to get to the bottom of what his problem is. And I can go into how that's done when you're ready for that. But that's one thing. But to answer your question more directly, yes. I mean, I deal with a lot of the national veterans groups, and
Right.
one of my contacts is the CEO of the Navy SEAL Foundation. And she told me she has one veteran on 40 medications at once,
Mhm.
right? Which is completely insane.
Yeah.
There's no studies on anything like that. They're using a veteran as a guinea pig is what's going on. And he has no informed consent, because if he did, he would never be on 40 medications at once. So one, they're supposed to be told the side effects. Two, they're supposed to be told they have treatment options, right? But if it's verbally enforced, what they call verbal consent,
Mhm.
there's no way of monitoring if, in fact, any veteran has received the side effects and the treatment options, because it's verbal. I mean, how do you monitor or enforce verbal consent, right?
Right. And a
So,
lot of times when you go back to the doctor, like the doctor for your primary care physician,
yep,
a lot of times you're not going to disclose you don't have this stuff. I'm not saying that this happens at all, right?
I
That
read about it.
people have stopped taking the medicines because of this stuff, right? They much rather deal with the cause and the effect of their symptoms or their whatever they're going through, than take all these medicines because they feel so detached.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And you're right. Some of them go off cold turkey, and that's dangerous, because the first side effect of high risk medications like antidepressants, antipsychotics, stimulants, anxiolytics that include benzodiazepines, narcotics, the first side effect is suicide ideation. So if you jump off of it cold turkey, you could cause a serious problem there. And see, that's why it's a travesty that our veterans don't realize the first side effect is suicide ideation. Because if they knew, instead of maybe thinking they're broken, right, which could happen if you're on a medication, the first side effect could be hallucinations.
Right.
It could be homicide. These are anxiety, depression. These are caused by and can be caused by the medication. The poor veteran, if he's just sitting there and experiencing anxiety and depression, maybe suicide ideation, and he might think, wow, my wife just left me. I just lost my job. I'm homeless. Why am I sticking around? I'm broken, and I've got this urge to kill myself. Now, if a doctor told him that's the first that is the first side effect he could experience, he could reflect on that.
Yeah.
And he could go, wait a minute, before I take any drastic action, maybe I should take a look at talking to the doctor or my wife or his husband first, right? But if no one tells him, he could jump to the conclusion that it's coming from him and not the medication. And it could be very well coming from the medication. The FDA said it comes from the medication. It's on the label. So what Diana and I have been working on for quite a while is implementing what they call written informed consent.
Okay, that's good.
Right? Makes sense, right?
Yes, sir. It does. I mean, we need to have this because You know,
Right.
I don't want to give verbal consent because you know, at some point it's going to become hearsay, and it's not going to go anywhere, right?
Right.
You go,
That's
I
right.
hear they say or they said, I don't know, remember, you know, it gets lost in the sauce, basically.
Right. Diane, why don't you explain a little bit about written consent and, you know, fill the audience in a bit.
Yes. Diane, welcome to the show, by the way. Diane Samuto.
Thank you.
She has been the legislative director of AMVETS for the last 5 years or for 5 years. So, Diane, please enlighten us on what John has been talking about and what we can look forward to with the written consent / verbal consent.
Well, let me just say that I'm an Army veteran, and in fact, I was at the VA today.
Welcome
and
to the show.
I get all my health care through the VA. So I experienced this situation firsthand. But the problem is that, especially for our folks that are, as you both mentioned, taking numerous prescriptions.
Mhm.
I went to the pharmacy today and I walked in, I handed the clerk my prescription. He looked them up on a computer. He told me the name and asked me if I had any questions. Well, I don't know anything about these particular medicines. I'm not a healthcare person.
Right.
So how do I ask an intelligent question? It's really almost impossible. And you don't get anything in writing until you actually sign for your prescriptions. Now, the doctor who wrote the prescriptions didn't explain to me if there were any side effects that I should be aware of.
Right.
I don't know that there were for the ones that I was prescribed, but in any case, it wasn't mentioned. So, but you give these meds to a fragile veteran,
Right.
Regardless of what their situation really is. And these meds are enough to push a person over the edge if they don't know, if they're not prepared to deal with the possible side effects, some of which John already mentioned. And obviously, one of the most dangerous ones is the suicidal ideation. We have not made a dent, and I think you brought this up, in bringing that number down. And that's horrible to think about.
Yes.
There has to be an easier way rather than just keep throwing money at the problem. Let's do something practical. Let's do something simple. Let's make sure that our veterans know what they're taking, what it's going to do for them, both the good, and any negatives that they should be aware of. An informed veteran is going to stick with the medication regimen that their doctor has, recommended for them. And hopefully, by sticking to that regimen, some of their problems, if not all of them, should resolve, at least to some extent. But really, as John mentioned, what we need to do, instead of just treating symptoms, is to deal with what is causing the problem to begin with.
Well, in your experience, because you and I have gone to the VA all the time, how many times? I mean, I could speak for myself, but and obviously it's different for you as a woman veteran, that you have other things that can go wrong, or that physically or biological will have. How much do they push different medicines toward you? That they're like, no, this is what you need because of certain symptoms that they got, without actually even having I want to say studies. And I'll give you my personal example. I'm a type 2 diabetic, and I have been like that for about 10 years now. And what happened is that my doctor started pushing metformin. The reason why metformin was the one that they were giving me is because it's the only one that the VA approved. No other thing we're doing. And when I was with my private doctor, my doctor was giving me another medicine. It was Janumet, which is Jardiance, I believe, and metformin together, which controlled, obviously split it. But I found that with metformin, I had a lot of issues, other issues aside from the fact that it was controlling my A1C. Yes, that's fine, but I was having a lot of other physiological issues, in my body. So didn't like it at all, and it was rejecting it. It came to a point where I was like, it's making me sick. It's physically making me sick. I cannot. I lived in. I'm sorry for sounding gross, but I lived in the restroom. I tell you, it was bad. It was really bad. I hated it, and I finally, if you don't become your own advocate for it, nothing will change. And I told the doctor, I said, no more metformin. This is what's doing to me. This is every time. He said, well, you can get the extended release. I'm like, what part of that doesn't work? Don't you understand? I get this is the only one, but there has to be another way or another prescription or another type of drug that will work. And finally they gave me Ozempic, and again, Ozempic has its own deals with that goes on, right? Maybe because people are using it for the incorrect issues or for weight loss or whatever it is, so they're going to have other effects of that later, right? So but again, I had to literally put my foot down and say, no, this is what's going to happen. It's not working for me. You have to find a different way to do it. And I had to go through a clinical dietitian, pharmacist that was finally able to give me that. So sorry, I went in a rant because that just pisses me off.
Well, I'm glad that you kind of brought that up, because that is part of the problem. So many veterans, when they go to the doctor, I mean, let's face it. I don't know about you, but I was enlisted. And we know that all of the doctors, in the military, they were officers.
Yes.
So we still have that kind of feeling of how we dealt with each other when we were on active duty. Correct. So when a doctor tells you that you need XYZ, we're not going to talk back probably, and probably not too many of us are going to question what the doctor says. And that is also part of the problem. We need to be able to speak up for ourselves and say, no. In fact, the doctor, I was there today. I saw a brand new doctor, and she was recommending something, and I said no. And she's like, really? She was shocked because I told her point blank that I wasn't going to be doing that or taking that medication. And more of us need to advocate for ourselves.
Yes.
We're not in the military anymore, so we can kind of forget that relationship, and we need to advocate for ourselves and for our family members. If we're the spouse, we need to do that for either our parents, our spouse, our siblings. Help them, because otherwise we're just going to get bulldozed and do whatever we're told to do without questioning.
Correct. So again, go ahead, John.
I was just going to bring up, Diane's exactly right. One of the things that could be helpful, and I think hopefully any veterans that are watching might find this of assistance. When a veteran goes to a medical interview, they could be a little nervous, yes. And they may have concerns that they wanted to convey, but they might forget, or they might, just with everything going on and the pace of things, they'll just blur out. And what I was going to recommend is we have a sheet of questions that a veteran could actually bring with them to their interview so they don't forget to ask these real important questions. Now, if they can memorize them and not forget them, that's good too. But if I could, I'd like to just read the few
please.
questions.
Please, but this is a very educational show, so whatever you give to everybody, it's going to be beneficial. And I wish I would have thought of some of these questions that you're probably going to ask, because they ask us questions at the very beginning when they do the triage. Are you feeling suicidal? Are you feeling this? And then they start adding the COVID questions. Do you have COVID? Well, now they don't even ask, do you have COVID? They're asking about measles in my area anyway. They stopped talking about COVID, but they start about measles now. So go ahead. Sorry about that.
Okay. So now this is on a sheet, and I'll give you my website. It's veterans with plural, veteransstrategicsolutions.com. If anyone would like a copy or what have you, they can go there, ask for it. Leave me a note, and I can get a printout to them, right? But this is it. One, are there dangerous? Whoops! Did I just do something here? Seems like
No, I pulled up the website. I'm actually looking at your website.
Oh, thank you. I thought I clicked on something.
No.
Are there dangerous side effects, i.e., the risk of dependency, thoughts of suicide, depression, anxiety, visual or auditory hallucinations, etc., that I should be aware of?
Mm-hmm.
If I experience them, what should I do? That's question one. 2, should I expect any dangerous interactions with other medications I might be taking? If so, please describe. 3, are there any treatment options, such as, I went over them before, but chiropractic, acupuncture, exercise therapy, art therapy, hyperbaric oxygen therapy, and again, there's so many others,
right.
But there's many available to treat my health issues. And now they have to ask, what are the treatment options that are available? And if so, let me know what they are. In the last couple sentences I wrote, remember, your treatment is your decision, not the doctor's decision. And that's something that gets lost because, as Diane pointed out, you're used to going, yes, sir, because doctors are officers in the military.
Yep.
And you forget you have the right to say, I want no treatment, or I want a specific treatment, or I don't want that drug, whatever it is your decision. And you can hold your ground to that and need to. And then the last thing I mentioned on the sheet is, since 2 heads are better than one, it might be helpful to bring a support person with you to your VA appointment, because they could help you remember things or ask additional questions. And, you'll have an ally there that I think would probably make the appointment more productive and comfortable.
So a lot of the times, I'm blessed with the fact that my wife is, she knows enough medical to be dangerous.
Okay, right.
She was a medic in the Army. Therefore, she knows medicine quite well. And so I have an advocate when I go with me. So because of her, I've been able to actually get certain things and certain prescriptions that I need. And that, no, this is not going to work. So she is one of my biggest advocates when it comes to health. So I suggest that you have. Yeah, so I suggest that you guys get yourself, somebody in the back pocket that goes with you.
Yeah, and it can be an ally, it can be a brother, it can be a family member, a wife, or just a buddy that might take a couple hours to come down and make sure everything goes right and you're comfortable.
Right,
that's what's real important, right?
Right, because you want to have somebody there for support. B is because when the doctor speaks, sometimes I may not be able to understand. So. They might be a buffer in the way that they'll translate in a way that maybe they don't understand what they said. Yes. Maybe I don't. So that's always a good way to do it as well. And
just to reflect on that, in the handbook I told you with the rules, it says you must be told the side effects in a language you understand. So if they start rattling off a bunch of medical stuff, you just correct them and say, I'm sorry, I need to understand what you're saying. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And tell them the truth, because they're supposed to know better. And they're supposed to be telling you in a layman's language the side effects, the treatment options, answers to your questions.
Right.
Don't let them intimidate you because they want to get out of the appointment.
Yes.
It's your time, it's your health, it's your life. You've already done enough to deserve respect by the doctor. And so demanded as much.
You deserve to be seen properly. You're not a number, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times they just go in and out, and I hate that. They're like, well, what the hell what just happened? You didn't even ask me for anything. Basically the nurse is the one that took all the notes. Is like, is there anything else we want to talk about?
Right.
Yeah, there's plenty to talk about.
Yes, exactly. And just to follow up on something we said a little earlier, we were looking at getting to the cause of the problem.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's key, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise you have a symptom, you're going to take a drug. The drugs will give you new symptoms. You're going to need more drugs, right? That's a great marketing plan if you work in pharmaceuticals, but it's not correct. And I'll tell you, in the past, years ago, it's maybe still performed to some degree, but it's really got dropped out. It was called a differential diagnosis. Mm-hmm. And it was standard operating procedure. And what it meant, it's very simple. It means that a doctor is supposed to eliminate all potential causes before he gives you a diagnosis.
Jeez.
So, you have anxiety, for instance. Does he just drug it and hide it? No. He's supposed to test you. Blood tests, if he needs to do scans or what have you, he's supposed to test you and eliminate what could be causing the anxiety. Now, as you know as well as I do, it could be lots of things, right? But what you'll find, what I'm working on right now, because I would like to get this implemented in the VA and eventually for the country, is we need to look at basics like nutritional deficiencies. People don't know, but if you don't have correct amount of vitamin B12 or vitamin D or some of these basics, you could experience mental phenomena, and physical problems, and you might think it's you, when in fact it's just a lack of, just like a car. You put in a low octane gas, it pings over time. You'll lose the car and the engine because you're not giving it proper nutrition. So you really have to be tested to see with a blood test, where are your nutritional values, so you can maybe up those levels, and you're going to find, just vitamin D alone, and again, I'm not a doctor and I'm not prescribing, but it can have significant differences. I've been told this by doctors, in your mental well-being and your physical health, right? So nutritional deficiencies need to be looked at too. Hormonal imbalances, right? Hormones, let's face it, a lot of people, hormones move a little bit left, a little bit right. They can turn into a whole new sort of personality. Right. I work with Dr. Mark Gordon. He's a neuroendocrinologist. Dr. Gordon specifically focuses on veterans. Uh-huh. He wrote the book, Traumatic Brain Injury. That book is about this thick. It's a serious book. And he has taken about 4,000 veterans who have had TBI, traumatic brain injury, right? Mm-hmm. And reversed it just by analyzing the hormones of the veteran. He has an assessment sheet. It's basically a questionnaire, but it's damn accurate. And with that assessment, he can tell how much the hormones might be out of balance. Uh-huh. Then he puts you on a regimen, right? And let me add, he loves veterans, and he does it as cheap as possible and sometimes free. That's how much he cares for our veterans.
Wow.
Yes. And he is able to turn around conditions just by balancing hormones. That's how important it is to understand and eliminate hormones as a potential cause of your problem. It could be the whole cause, but it might be an aspect, right?
Wow.
And the last element, and I'm not saying it's the only one, but the last one I'm going to speak of here that's fairly significant, are chemical toxins. And I'm not just talking about Agent Orange. I am talking about chemicals of all sorts. It could be drugs. It could be, whatever particular alien substance you're putting in your body. I mean, food chemicals even. I mean, chemical toxins, and there's a lot of them, multiply. Some of them stay in the blood and the fatty tissues.
Wow.
And can reverberate and cause problems in the body later on in life. So you might need to detoxify to some degree to get them out, so that you'll feel like you've had an internal shower at some of these detoxification programs.
Yeah.
But years and years of the beer and the abuse and the hamburgers and the
Right.
Not eating well and so on takes its toll. And if you could just clean up the body a little bit, clean up the liver, clean up the kidneys and so on, you'll be a lean, mean, activity machine again.
Right.
But these are simple basics that are not discussed, and yet it's the foundation of health. And again, I'm not saying you shouldn't take medications. Certainly, there are conditions when you could and should.
Right.
But before you hide a problem, let's look for what's really causing the problem.
Right.
And that's really what the discussion should be. And I would also ask that of your doctor when you go for your interview. Could this be? And can you test me for a nutritional deficiency, a chemical imbalance, toxic chemicals? They can do tests on you, and they might be able to, isolate some causes that, you were not aware of that are acting adversely in your body.
Right.
I hope that helps.
No, it does, and like I said, I know there's a lot of information that we just threw at people, and let me tell you, the better equipped that you go into a doctor, it doesn't matter if it's a VA doctor, your own doctor on the private health, if you're a civilian, the better equipped you are with the research, especially if you have some type of condition, right? Like let's just take type 2 diabetes. If you have that, the better equipped you are with your own research, the questions that you're able to ask the doctors, just so they don't mask those whatever it is that you're going through with pills. That's very important, I think. Because
you don't have, and you're likely not to have a Prozac deficiency. You know what I mean? Or what? Now you could have an insulin deficiency. That's a natural hormone, right? But I always always go to the cause, to the source of a problem. The more you do that, the more likely it is you'll have stability and not maybe feeling upbeat for a while because of the effect of the medication, and then crashing or becoming addicted, or maybe having it meshed with a lot of other drugs that could cause problems. So, you have to take responsibility for yourself.
Yes.
And you have to run the ship.
Yes.
And you are the ship. So you got to take good care so that you're sailing correctly.
Exactly.
Don't smash into any icebergs, while you're floating around out there.
Right. You don't want no Titanic issue.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So John, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break.
Okay.
And when we come back, we're going to talk about the hard questions, the 22 a day, and what we can do as far as what you're doing in the national level, because I know you're involved with not just one but several other veteran organizations, national organizations like the VFW, the American Legion, and AMVETS, like we just with Diane here. So what we're gonna ask and see what type of resolutions and or bills are out there right now. And I'd mentioned earlier to our listeners that you were actually in CPAC early in March, I believe, in DC.
I believe it was either February or March, right?
Yeah. And what kind of things that went on during that thing, and what I don't want to say connections, but what was discussed there and what things we're able to bring to light, so we can actually bring those legislative issues to our Congress and to our lawmakers that will help veterans and will help other people with these things, right? So we'll come back and discuss that. You are listening to the Battle Rhythm podcast here on Voice of the People, USA Radio and TV Network, Busey Digital, Patriot Radio, and very, very, very soon on many other platforms. So with that said, we are going to come back. When we come back, we're going to be talking to John again about these different legislations and the CPAC convention that happened in DC and many, many other things. And we're also going to touch the subject. We've already kind of touched it, and I think we just scratched the surface on veteran suicide and how we can help with that. So, but first, I want to play a quick video about a very, very good organization that you and I, my friend, are part of, and we're actually supporting. This is Veterans First Initiative with our mutual friend, Richie Onari, who is actually, like I mentioned earlier, we are putting in a telethon on June 7th from 12 to 8 from 4 different cities, LA, Chicago, Toronto, and Phoenix. There will be very, very, very many acts. A lot of different organizations are going to be highlighted. A lot of different things are going to be, a lot of different veterans are going to be interviewed, along with a lot of different organizations about what they bring out for veterans. But the main thing is to raise money for veterans, for the Veterans First Initiative, for them to actually be able to give out these gift cards to the veterans that are in need of food, clothing, and things like that. So I'm going to play this video, and please come back. When I come back, like I said, we're going to be talking to John here in a minute, so please stand by. Again, you're listening to the Battle Rhythm podcast here on Voice of the People USA Radio, and also on Busey Digital and Patriot Radio. We'll be back in a minute.
My name's Richie Onori from the Multi-Platinum Diva Suite. We all can agree to help our vets. Music changes the world. We're musicians bounded together, making a difference for our vets. With the Veterans First Initiative, you can make that difference too. Go to vetsinneed.org, vetsinneed.org. Thank you.
As he approaches his 96th birthday, Jim Hahn still remembers intimate details about his time serving as a Marine in World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War, and he also remembers how it all started.
Mother wasn't going to sign. I told her, I said, if you don't sign this, I'll lie about my age. And she signed.
He was inspired to enlist when walking down the street at 16 years old. He tells K10 he saw some people messing with a Marine and his girlfriend.
They was doing anything they could try to make him mad. He told his girlfriend there to go down and wait for him at the red light at the end of the street there. He turned around and whipped all 4 of those guys.
A year later, he was off to San Diego for basic training. Han joined the occupation force in both China and Japan during World War II, which marks the only time in the history of Japan that it has been occupied by a foreign power. A bitter time these days, though. Gunnery Sergeant Han holds tight to the sweeter moments.
It's going into Japan, there, into town. I seen all these little kids running around there, and they looked like they was hungry and everything else. So I started in and getting candy from our PX and taking it in there and giving it to the little kids. It got to where whenever I'd come inside the city limits, man, here come all these kids.
What he didn't realize at the time, candy would one day become his lifeline. In November of 1950, just a few months after the Korean War began, 8,000 fighters, mostly Marines, were trapped in the Chonjin Reservoir, surrounded by 120,000 Chinese soldiers. And you guessed it, Sergeant Han was one of those Marines.
If somebody told me this, I'd have thought of him as being a liar, because I did not think that it would get 90 degrees below zero. I seen guys just walking along, and all of a sudden I could stop walking, and they just did. They'd freeze to death while they was walking.
Freezing, barely hanging on to life. The Marines called for ammunition using their code word, Tootsie Roll.
I never will forget that. They got on the radio there and talking to them, said, send us some Tootsie Rolls. And they was talking about ammunition, a certain type of ammunition.
Well, the soldier on the other end of that radio took the message literally, and they dropped into the reservoir Tootsie Rolls.
Here's these 3 planes there coming out with these parachutes coming down there with Tootsie Rolls. It's supposed to be ammunition, but it's Tootsie Rolls. But if it hadn't been for them, a lot of us, including me, would probably starve to death.
Those little chocolate candies were the fuel that sustained the troops. All other provisions were frozen, so they survived on the chocolate.
It seemed impossible that they was there for any other reason than to save my life. I thank God many times for the fact that I lived through all of it. Didn't lose any arms or legs or anything out of way. I sat in this foxhole, and people all around me freezing. And some reason or other I didn't.
He says all he thought about was his next breath and how he would use it.
I don't know, I still think about it sometimes. I know that God saved me from it. Try to thank God 3 or 4 or 5 times a day about that.
Decades later, Sergeant Hahn literally holds on to that memory with a bucket of Tootsie Rolls made specifically for him with American flags after the company heard his story. Those Marines that made it out are now revered as the heroes of the Frozen Chosen. But this one calls Texoma home, and he chooses to spend his time right here in the Sherman VFW.
I feel like they're brothers. This, to me, is part of the military.
As this veteran reflects on a life of service most would never know, Hahn would do every second of it again. The few, the proud, the Marines. It was such an honor to be able to sit down with Jim, and I just want to say right here on the record, thank you for your service. Not only a World War II veteran, a 3-war veteran. He decided to just
so
keep going back. I know.
And you know, I had heard that, I knew that there was something involving Tootsie Rolls, but that was the first time I actually heard that full story, and that is so incredible.
And he's just walking around Texoma.
Oh, how cool.
Amazing, I know it.
So if you get...
Hey, it's Richie Honori from the multi-platinum group The Suite. We all can agree our vets need our help. If you got a couple bucks right here and right now, you can make that difference. We are the Veterans First Initiative. We're musicians bounded together. Go to vetsinneed.org. That's vetsinneed.org. Thank you so much. You can make that difference too.
Welcome back to the Battle Rhythm Podcast. I am Caesar. I'm joined here by John Spagnola, the CEO of Veteran Strategic Solutions. And you just watched probably one of the greatest American stories that you'll ever hear about the Frozen Chosen and the Marines in the Korean War. And John, let me tell you, Jim Hahn, Gunny Jim Hahn, is 96 years old, and he is part of my post. And this man is still very spry. He walks around like, you know, he's 19 years old and he's still running. Great gentleman, a great asset to our post, and the man has, you know, so many stories to talk about. But he loves talking about the fact that he's a Korean War veteran and obviously the part of the Frozen Chosen and chosen few, as they call it, because the ones that survived are called the chosen few. So yes. Veteransinneed.org. We saw a little video about Richie Honori. Like I mentioned before, June 7th, the telethon will be coming on. It will be available here through Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, BUC Digital, and also Patriot Radio. We're going to be having that together. So, John, how did you hear about Veterans First Initiative with Richie?
Well, you know, just going to say I want my hats off to Richie. He's got a heart of a lion. And he's being real tenacious about helping veterans. I mean, he's all about it, and that's all he says. So love it that you've hooked up with him and you guys are working together.
You know, I've interviewed him several times now, and he is probably one of the coolest dudes I've ever met. Loves veterans. You know, he's a veteran of the music scene in LA.
Big time. Yeah.
And, you know, multi-platinum Grammy award-winning guy, and he's just so mellow. He's super friendly. And I'm like, man, I want to be like you when I grow up. And I tell him all the time. But are you? So you hooked up with him through other organizations? Is that correct?
I don't remember exactly. I remember one of the people that worked for him put me in touch, as I recall, and we spoke, and he did an earlier concert, and it went well, and I think I maybe turned them on to some folks as in veteran community. So we kind of become friends as a result, and of course now he's kind of connected me with you. So
right, he said
yeah.
Caesar. He called me. He's like, Caesar. He called me. He's very adamant when he speaks.
Yes, he is.
Like,
energy.
Caesar, I have this is what you got to do. I have John Spagnola. I need you to interview him because I need you to hook up with him. This is what's going to happen. And I said, Richie, of course, I will reach out. And I think I reached out to you the same day or the day after. And this is how we got together. And the fact that, again, you have the heart of a servant. And I love the fact that you are so passionate about helping veterans. And this is how my show got started, to actually be a public servant, a public service, be a servant through the community, and be a good stewards. My words are not coming out today. It's the medicines I'm on. It's the medicines I'm on. But just to be a good way of actually highlighting these things. And Veterans First Initiative, how do you feel of this organization, what they do for veterans? What is that, does that give you more energy to go out there and fight for veterans' rights and things like that in Congress?
Yeah, that, to create a change, it takes quite a bit of an evolution. And what I've been doing for years is I have been working with some of the various national what they call veteran service organizations, because those are the opinion leaders to Congress. They're the people that are watched, looked at, and pretty much listened to for what we should do, where we should go when it comes to, the needs of veterans. So, for instance, with the issue we have been speaking about, written informed consent, I now have 16 different veteran organizations that are supporting what I'm doing. I'll list some of the groups, or maybe all of them for you.
Yes.
The American Legion, that's the largest. It's close to 2 million. VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars, as you mentioned, you're part of.
Yeah.
That's the second biggest, and it's about 1.3 or 4 mil. And then Disabled Veterans, which is over 1 million there. That alone is like 5.5 million veterans.
Correct.
And they're all wonderful people. They care a lot. They work so hard. I mean, really, to help veterans, their brothers and their sisters, and that's how they look at it. Others that have joined my cause, or I should say the cause, to get informed consent to veterans, written informed consent, are the Jewish war veterans. Their executive director has been stellar in helping open doors and pave the way. And the Reserve Officers Association, also known as Reserve Organization of America, two-star general I had breakfast with, and he said, John, what can I do for you, And I said, well, General, I told him about informed consent, how we needed written informed consent. Mm-hmm. And he looks at me and he goes, you mean we don't already have that?
Yeah, right.
And he goes, why not? And I said, sir, you're exactly right. We need it. So he's been just wonderful to work with. Awesome. His name is Jeff Phillips. He's a two-star general that runs that group. Other groups that are supporting are the Association of the United States Navy, and their executive director has just become a really good friend of mine and a wonderful person. The Marine Corps Reserve Association, I know the stellar organization with great history and great results. The Special Operations Association of America,
Right.
Another, very, very stellar organization. Fleet Reserves Association does a lot of maritime work. Been around forever. It's one of the older groups and very prestigious.
You know who we need to get part
How's
of this? Crayola. Because we have our Marine brothers. They love crayons, so we got to get them to sponsor. So
I'm
just
there.
like Westinghouse. You remember those Westinghouse refrigerators for
Yep.
our Air Force brothers and sisters? They can't go anywhere without a refrigerator. Apparently,
Kind of forgot about that. Anyways, I can tell some of the other groups. Is Fleet Reserve Association. They're the ones that was probably most active on what they call blue water, which was the fact that Agent Orange actually went into the water, and a lot of the sailors were infected and damaged by that, and they couldn't get benefits because it wasn't on land.
And it wasn't until like almost the 2000s when they actually recognized that, right?
Yeah, it was like over 10 years they fought it. I mean, they, finally were able to bring it to fruition and get benefits for veterans who were damaged by that. Right. Navy SEAL Foundation, again, another very prestigious, wonderful organization. Their CEO is just, so caring. She had lost her husband, and she took over the whole group. Vietnam Veterans of America, very well-known group. That
one of the very large groups as well.
Yes, and very caring and very active. They're in and out of those congressional offices saying, give us more money for our veterans and pass this bill and make new treatments available. And that's what they all do up there. Air Force Sergeants Association is another very respectable organization, and they're one of their top people has become a very close friend of mine. I'm having lunch with him in about a week when I go back up there. Grunt Style Foundation is
really?
Grunt Style? Yeah.
Let me tell you a little tidbit about Grunt Style Foundation.
Okay, good.
So, Grunt Style Foundation has a podcast themselves. One of the hosts, her name is Janae Sergio. Janae Sergio and I actually served together on the USS John C. Stennis from 2000 to 2004. And she is now a very huge advocate of the for veterans. And she lives I believe she lives in the San Antonio area. And she is the host of the Ground Style Foundation. And I'm trying to get sponsored by Ground Style. So just go with it, John. No, but she's a great advocate for veterans, women veterans as well. And speaking of women veterans, we're going to bring back Diane. I know she stepped out for a second.
She got knocked out by the internet or something.
Yeah. Are you in the Alabama? Are you in the Alabama area? Because I heard that there is a tornado. They're under tornado watch right now in Alabama. So I hope everybody's there. I have a lot of friends that actually in the area, and they said, hey, we're a little concerned. We've never really had tornadoes. They had hurricanes, but not tornadoes. So
I'm in Virginia, actually, and I think it was just I lost my internet connection.
Well, welcome back. And
thank you.
John and I were talking about the different organizations that he's partnered with, and because John and I actually partnered with a mutual organization called Veterans First Initiative, and you can see on our screen there, veteransinneed.org, but to donate for this great cause. Like I said, they actually get the donations go into purchasing gift cards for veterans for them to actually go purchase purchase food and things of that nature. And great cause. Richie Onari is one stellar dude, and I cannot be more thankful for his friendship that he's given me in the last 3-4 months that we've been talking about this telethon. And I just being part of this team for the telethon, I was very humbled that they chose me to do some of these interviews, and I'm just thankful for their trust in me. I don't know why. I sometimes feel like I don't bring anything to the table other than this face made for radio that people are looking at right now. And
get the word out, my man. That's pretty important stuff.
So, but yes, please, if you're able to donate, please donate to veteransinneed.org. And with that said, John, you're a nonprofit for your organization,
Yeah.
veteranstrategicsolutions.com. That is your website. And please, John also works on donations as well. And his work is very, very important for many of us because he's in lobby. I don't want to call you a lobbyist because you're not a lobbyist, but
Advocate,
you are.
How's that?
Thank you, advocate.
There you go.
Because you're advocating for very many veterans that are in need. And again, we were talking about earlier. We were talking in the first hour of the show. We were talking about written consent and oral consent, or verbal consent. Oral, that's the same thing.
Same thing.
But please, let's elaborate. Let's get into detail as far as to what it is that we need to do now, right? So as we were talking about earlier, you as a veteran, or you yourself, need to be your own advocate of these, right? We were talking about the different cocktails of prescriptions that we are given, right? Diane shared with us what she went through this morning as she went to the VA doctor. I shared with you guys my story about what has been going on with certain prescriptions I was given for very many years, and had a big physiological effect on my body. And as you can see, I'm a lot wider than I used to be. So that's what happened. That was one of the side effects. It hurts every time. But yes. So please, let's dive into this. And I know I'm joking around about this thing, but it's not a joking matter when it comes to veterans' health, because again, some of these drugs and or prescriptions that they are giving us have as John mentioned, can have a correlation to suicidal ideations and suicidal tendencies, especially if you wean off of these medicines, because again, our bodies tell us when we need to stop. You know what I mean? That we are rejecting these prescriptions. How important is it for our Congress and our government to recognize that, hey, we need to take a look at bigger studies and actually see the effects of what is happening to us? We need to bring this number down from 22 a day to a lot less. So how can we do this?
Well, let me first say, and I just wanted to clear up, I am not a veteran. I dedicate my life to veterans around the clock. I love doing so, and I consider that my service at this particular point.
And we thank you for that, John. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And so in terms of what we need to do, the reason I mention all the groups I'm working with, and the last one I didn't mention, is the Military Order of the Purple Heart. They're also supporting, which is really another wonderful organization. But the reason I have all these organizations working together is because that's what it takes in Congress. Congress wants to see two things: votes and money, right?
Yes.
And if we have this many numbers, millions and millions of veterans, showing them that this is the right thing to do, then Congress tends to come along. So that's why the importance of this coalition, and the reason that I'm continuing to build it. A couple avenues I'm taking, working with the coalition. One is we're trying to get the new VA Secretary, Doug Collins, to administratively, with a stroke of a pen, he could implement written informed consent. And currently on the books is written informed consent for long-term pain opioids. That's already in effect. We want to expand that so it covers high-risk medications like the antidepressants and antipsychotics. So that's one method, is administratively, if we could convince the VA secretary to just issue it.
Right.
All right. The second method would be legislative. And legislative is very important, even if we get it administratively implemented, because if say Doug Collins puts it in and he leaves office, the next VA secretary could take it out. Right. Whereas if it's in writing legislatively, he can't remove it without removing the bill, and that's that's very difficult. So we have a draft bill. Diane was very instrumental in helping put that together, and it mandates that the veteran be told the side effects and the treatment options, and that he must sign a consent form. The doctor must have them. This is not the pharmacist at the end, but the doctor up front must get him to sign a consent form that says, I was told the side effects of this medication you're prescribing me, and I was told I have treatment options. And I was told I don't have to do anything if I don't want to. I mean, it should say that too. But the idea is that's legislation. And I have I don't want to get into the names of people, but I have a congressman who's agreed to sponsor the bill.
Okay, I was about to ask you if we have some Congress backing already, sponsor.
I have a congressman that's willing to sponsor it, and I have another congressman I just met at the airport this past week that's willing to take the minority lead, because you need a Democrat and Republican if you want to get something done.
Oh, okay.
And I believe we'll have a lot of congressmen supporting this.
Right.
So we're going to be, I'm waiting for it to go through a channel. It has to go through an administrative channel. It's called Legislative Council, where they kind of massage the bill. And once it's out, we'll introduce it. And then, we could go through the process of getting the support to push it through the channel. So,
Diane, let me ask you a question. You have been the director of legislation for the AMVETS. And please please excuse my ignorance here. Have you been able to actually have a congressional hearing on some of the stuff that has been? Have you been testifying in front of Congress about some of these issues?
Many times, I'm afraid. We did a hearing on this, I think, in 2016. Isn't that right, John?
Yes.
Yeah, 2016. I testified. Some of the other VSOs testified at that time. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, we have not been able to move past getting the bill introduced.
Right.
Nothing has happened with it. And if we can't get this past the finish line, then, we're not helping veterans. And that's what we are trying to do. That's what this is all about. It's not about John. It's not about me per se, or any one person. It's all veterans.
Right.
We want to minimize the risk of suicides. We want to minimize broken families. I mean, if you have a veteran who is taking one or multiple medications that could be causing some of these uncomfortable side effects, that can break up families. It can prevent people from working, and earning an income. It could put you in the street. Yeah. So there's so much riding on this. And this seems to be, at least for John and I, it seems almost like a no-brainer. It's not going to cost billions of dollars. In fact, it could save quite a lot of money, because right now, each of the branches have their own group, if you will, that study suicides. The Navy is studying it, the Air Force, everybody is studying it, trying to see if there are solutions. But nothing is really happening because the numbers are not going down.
So, no, they're not. Actually, you know what? I think I read a study not long ago that I wish I could come up. I'll probably have to research it again, but I think that the number might have gone down to like 19.2 something a day. Don't quote me. I said I think it's somewhere out there. I thought I saw it. And so, I mean, yes, we are taking a step in the right direction, but yet we're we take one step forward and you take 3 steps back, it seems like, on other issues. So, one of the biggest things, and you mentioned something about being able to pass this bill, and you've been talking about this since 2016. where it cannot get passed or cannot get sponsored. It cannot get two things. And this is the one thing that many of us that have served get pissed off about. And please excuse me, is the fact that the Congress cannot get it together and pass these bills like the Richter Start Act that's on the floor right now. And you know, the thing that you guys are talking about, but yet Congress will always, almost every year will give themselves a pay raise. And that, my friends, pisses the hell out of me. And I'm sure a lot of these people will do the same because they have time to do that, but they don't have time for us who have served and or deserve to have these entitled. And yes, I am saying entitled because I am entitled to these benefits. And so, you know, so are you, Diane and John, by decree. You are now also a veteran because you're a huge advocate for us, and you are honorably, you know, just like an honorable doctorate, sir. You're a honorable veteran by now, you know, by the power vested of the E4 Mafia, you are now one. So there you go.
You know, I just wanted to say, last year, just so you know how crazy it is, you know what I was told by the office of the committee chairman of the VA House Committee, and the reason they couldn't move on written informed consent. Any guesses on why?
Because they couldn't have the funds.
Well, you know, you're probably, that's a lot more accurate than I was going to say. But well, there are over 1,000 pharmaceutical lobbyists in Washington.
Oh, of course there are.
And there are only 535 congressmen and senators. So that's the reason I put this coalition together. I need a little balance here. No, but what the actual reason they told me was it would be too much. This is to put in an informed consent form. It would be too much of an administrative burden.
You're kidding me right now.
I'm not kidding.
Oh,
that's what they were telling me.
And please excuse my language, and kids, go to bed. Earmuffs. Holy shit. Oh my God.
Guys are dying. We're losing over 6,000 veterans every year.
Yeah.
And nothing's worked. And you do a quick survey and you'll find out veterans don't know the side effects of what they're taking. And it's a crime that we can't raise the level of consent to the point where they have to sign a form. I mean, come on. How difficult is that? It's not billions of dollars of research and treatments and surveys and whatever. It's just an implementation of the administration of a signature.
And then you wonder why veterans probably have one of the highest rates of alcoholism and dependencies on other things, right? I mean,
I'm ready to start myself at this point.
Right. Diane, go ahead. I know you're about to say something, and I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. I mean, this really seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It's cost effective, and it potentially could save thousands of people a year. Yeah. So why can't we, just get this into law and see what happens? I mean, we pass all kinds of things that right. are way more expensive and are not making a dent. Right. So it's time for something different, something simple. Right. Let's keep our veterans informed so they know what to expect. They're not taken by surprise by some of these possible disturbing symptoms, right. Then they are much more likely to, not commit suicide. They might mention it to a friend or a spouse. It just seems like a no-brainer. And I get so frustrated because we've been working on this for so many years. Yes. And it's just hard to believe that we can't get this, to the finish line. Right.
But hey, like I said, Congress will always find time to actually make themselves a pay raise. And that's just, for lack of a better term, bullshit.
Yeah. Now, I have some good news for you.
Okay, go ahead.
we're familiar with the new Secretary of HHS, Health and Human Services.
Oh yeah, Mr. Bobby Kennedy Jr.
Right, Bobby Kennedy, right? Well, I have written to him about this issue.
Oh, wonderful.
And I said to him, why don't we apply this to the public for the country, because the public needs it just as much as the veterans need it.
Yes. I was just thinking that before you mentioned it. Yeah.
Right? They don't know what they're taking, right? And so I put a whole proposal together, sent it, and he wrote me back directly.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh.
And he said, John, in so many words, I want to make this policy for Health and Human Services.
Well, there it is, my friends. John Spagnola, he has just name dropped Bobby Kennedy, saying that he definitely wants to, and I'm not saying that in the bad way. This is great news. Is the fact that, again, yes, we bringing it up as veteran awareness, but it's gonna benefit the entire population of the United States, because a lot of people are just taking medicines up the yin yang because they don't know what they're taking. Our grandparents, they are like, oh, I gotta take there's so many pills for this, and this, and they probably have no idea what they're taking, right? I mean, they see all these commercials during the primetime hours. When I was a kid, I remember seeing it between the hours of 6 and 10. All these, please take, whatever it is, XYZ, you're taking it, and the side effects are, really, really small on the very bottom of the screen, right? Yeah. Like, wait, did they say that they cause cancer? No, that's not important. It's not important at all. Like, nothing to see here. Keep going on. But yes, that would be great to actually have backing like that. I mean, that's a great name drop. The fact that he's willing to do that.
Yeah, I'm very impressed with what I've seen so far in terms of wanting to clean up the soil and the food, and make sure that all the medicines are actually researched and not just shot out there with very minimal research, if any, and then using us being the public, as guinea pigs. It's not how it should be, and we shouldn't be spending more than any other country in the world on health and have one of the lowest health outcomes. That doesn't make any sense. So there's something that has to get fixed within the government, and I'm really hoping that Kennedy is the person to do that.
Well, what you just brought up with the proper study, right, to be done. Yeah. We just had that happen. 2020 with COVID, where they forced people to take this stupid COVID vaccine without no studies at all, knowing what the side effects were going to be. And a lot of veterans, let me take it back. All service members were forced and told that you were supposed to take it. Yes. And if you're not, you were going to be kicked out. And they were kicked out because they refused to take it. Same thing with me. Like, I actually I was against it. I didn't want it. Unfortunately, I had to get it twice because I needed a booster or whatever it was, because I was working for a defense contractor. Therefore, it was their policy for them to, in order for me to deploy, I had to take it, and I was forced to do it. Right? That it was never given me. But then again, going back to that, we were forced to take it without no study done at all. And we don't even know what the side effects are. I mean, I could be growing a third ear right now anywhere in my body, and I wouldn't even know it, right? That's probably why I'm listening with my feet rather than with my ears. So that was the last example. I mean, that was like example. I get on these tangents. I'm sorry, guys. I get on these tangents, but it just pisses me off at the fact that some of these things that you're bringing up are so critical to have and so important to have, and yet they're dragging their feet when it comes down to actually passing these bills for not just for veterans, but for the public in general. Right?
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. We need to do more. And again, we've got a new administration. Let's hope, from what I'm seeing, they've been pretty spot on and going after foundational issues that could help the health of our country get better.
Yes.
I've got hope, and so far they're receptive, and
Yes.
it's not always been that way, but to have someone like Kennedy write me directly and want to help and implement what I'm doing, it really touched my heart that he's of that kind of character.
And he seems like a very approachable person,
Mhm.
and it's just great to see that he took the time to actually just hear your thoughts and what you were presenting, and I mean that's great. So
Exactly.
let me ask you this: so what is next for you guys right now? I know we were talking about suicide prevention earlier, and what can we do to bring more awareness for suicide prevention?
Well, one of the things that my coalition, the groups I mentioned to you, some of the members of the coalition, we have an event happening on the 5th of June in Washington, and it will begin with a press conference in the morning, and we're going to be talking about written informed consent. We're going to be talking about the over medication of veterans, and then at noon we have a senator that has sponsored a room for us in the Senate building.
Oh,
And so we have an agenda to go over it's called the Veteran Harms event or something along that line. I've got to look at the title. But the whole idea is they're going to bring in people who have been damaged by medications, and how to taper off them correctly, and what the effects are. And they're going to bring in notable medical doctors. We have a psychiatrist coming, as well as medical doctors, to talk about the various aspects of what we can do to get healthier, and how to look at the medications a little more intensely.
yeah. So there's some activity here on our socials. Here in Texas, the Military Veteran Peer Network at Texoma Community Center provides free suicide prevention training to the public. So yes, please check in your area. There are a lot of different areas that actually do provide free awareness, free training for suicide prevention. I know a lot of the riders groups for the motorcycle groups that are both the American Legion, also the VFW, share these suicide prevention. However, we were talking about the national part of it, where we need to bring in because we're talking about written consent and informed consent and
policy.
And the policies that we need to bring into it. And MJ, thank you for bringing that up. And yes, Military Peer Network here in the Texoma area is huge. They have a Walker House where they have actually a lot of different support groups. One of them that they had not long ago was a PTSD support group that they have. They also have like canine training there as well. They have a group that just phenomenal jobs. And again, these 501c nonprofit organizations require a lot of donations for them to actually keep going, to give these veterans this type of assistance, because veterans, we as veterans tend to flock with other veterans because they understand our pain, they understand what we're going through, and because we always talk shit about the VA and then V talk shit to each other. And we're always doing this and that. And again, it's important for us to come together as a population, as a group, and being able to get along with these coalitions to be able to bring this to the House. Because again, being an advocate and going to your state representative or your congressman and saying, you know what, this is what we need. I believe that we can make noise and make these pass, because it is us that, they work for us, not us work for them. And people forget that.
Yes, they do. Let me also suggest something that can be quite impactful, but maybe not something that everybody's thinking about. But if everybody that was interested in this issue, wherever you are in the country, sent letters to the editor, to your local newspaper, because I will tell you that your elected officials in DC, they take the local papers because they want to see what their constituents are talking about, what's happening in their communities back home. And this is a great, great way to reach out and get your voice heard. And numbers make a difference in DC. That's what it's all about.
It is always about the numbers. Maybe money or people.
Right. Exactly.
Yes, that's right. Reputation, and it's basically, getting elected again, and the money and the people and the media are all can play a part in that. So, Diane, that's an excellent point.
Yes, very good. Thank you for bringing that up. And again, we are talking about, I know we kind of went off topic with different things, but again, our main focus here right now is written consent, oral consent, and also informed consent, really, because it is important for us to know what we're taking, and then it is, as a patient, it is your right to know what you're inducing into your body.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And it's the doctor's duty to make sure you know that. It's his job. And so sometimes they need a little help. They're a little overwhelmed with the number of patients going on, and they've got this going on and that going on. So, you could certainly remind them also. Keep in mind, you're paying them, they're working for you.
Exactly. And I know I mentioned to John earlier, Diane, I don't know if he mentioned to you, that we have an international audience, right? We have about 190 countries that are actually listening to us right now. And therefore, even though we are talking about U.S. policies and U.S. things, you too, out there in whatever country you are able to get this information. You should be able to know what you're putting into your body. And I know that the drug companies are completely different in Europe, in America, but the thing is that whatever you're ingesting into your body, you need to know what the effects are, and you are your own advocate. So please take what we're saying and put it into your own world as far as what can be done. But you need to also be informed about what you're doing, because a lot of these prescriptions are harmful to your body. And a lot of us are actually probably dying from the inside, or probably already dead, like me, inside, that, with all these different drugs that we've been taking, that we don't even know what the side effects are. Because
exactly.
Yeah, and you might think, you might not guess that it's coming from the drug, and you might think it's just natural or coming from you or something you ate or what have you. So,
correct.
Good point.
Remember, a lot of these drug companies will send out representatives to go talk to the doctors. The more and more they push this drug, the more and more money they get.
Right.
So remember that. And I know a lot of people don't know that, especially if you work in the doctor's office. You know very well that is the case. Right? So, all right. Go ahead, John.
No, I just agreed with you. I think that is true. Unfortunately, there's a lot of lobbying, and money kind of runs things. We've got to turn it back to people and integrity and doing the right thing and helping people get better and healthier, and stop looking at, the way everything is so isolated, siloed, and, disconnected.
Correct.
People are a unit. They need to be treated holistically, I believe.
Yes.
And that's why I'm saying, look at the foundational points, look at the nutrition, look at the hormones, look at the chemical toxins. If dig into that when you have ailments, when you have manifestations or symptoms, dig into what's causing it. And I think if you do that, you get your doctor to test you. Don't let them off the hook. Just the testing will open up doors for answers.
Yes.
And then you can have a real true, resolution of the problem. So,
the doctors work for you.
yes.
Remember that.
We don't just want to treat symptoms. We want to hopefully cure the problem so that we don't need to be taking meds or, any other risky procedures.
Yes, correct. So, all right. So we've come to the part of the show that many of the viewers that we have love this part of the show because it's a shocking part of the show. And I know I didn't prep you guys for this, but there's a reason why.
Okay.
And we call this segment of the show Rapid Fire Questions. Rapid Fire Questions is brought to you by EGA Construction Services out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, owned by my one and only true friend, Lynn Toomer, who is running for the Junior Vice Commander-in-Chief for the National VFW out of the Department of Texas. And Lynn, thank you for listening. I know he's listening out there because he's been texting me earlier. And his phrase, his very patented phrase, hell yeah! Always. As you can probably tell, he's probably a Marine, which he is. So thank you, EGA Construction, for being one of our sponsors. So thank you for that. So the object of this game, I don't know if it's a game, it's more of a forum, is for you to answer the questions that I'm about to ask you in a very quick manner without actually even thinking about it. Whatever comes to your mind first, you just you answer. If you take more than 2 seconds to answer this you have failed, and the station is a no-go. Okay. So I will give you a very easy example of how this game is played. And I will tell you that if you fail at the example question, you are taking way too many prescriptions that the VA has been giving you. Okay, so
what do we win? Oh.
You win. You win the fact that you don't win anything. This is just for bragging rights. It really just is. All right, and plus, it kind of gives us the reason I do it is because we talked about a very heavy subject, right? Suicide and informed consent, and when I think of informed consent, or I think of I'm dying, right? Like I have to give you written consent for me, for you to basically pull the plug, and that's how I kind of think about it, right? And it's a very sore subject a lot of times, and I'm very leery about talking about suicides and and things like that, simply because as veterans, combat veterans, yes, we struggle with some of these suicidal ideations, these suicidal tendencies, and a lot of times I feel like they watch the show because they kind of want to forget about those things, and being able to bring it to light to other people that don't know what PTSD is, or don't know what a combat vet's mind goes through. It's helpful. And so that's kind of why I do it, but that's just a personal reason why I kind of stay away from it. It's nothing bad, and I'm actually glad I did it today because we need to talk about this. This is a thing that we always need to talk about, and I guess it's some of the negative stigma that we shouldn't talk about. Like taboo. That back in the day, tattoos are taboo. You're not supposed to have these. That type of thing. Anyway, rant again. Sorry, my ADHD is going crazy because I didn't take my meds. So,
aha.
There we go.
Ding, ding, ding. So, all right. So here's a basic question, a sample question. Diane, we'll start with you. Okay. So, again, answer as quick as you can. Favorite book?
Pride and Prejudice.
See, you almost failed the easiest station. All right, John, what is your favorite type of music?
My favorite what?
Type of music.
Oh, type of music. Rock.
Glamour rock? Like 80s,
rock and roll.
like Def Leppard,
I went to Woodstock, man. So
oh, did you really?
I go back.
Hell yeah. Oh yeah. Were you up close, or were you way the hell in the back?
I was fairly up close.
Who was your favorite band that you actually saw?
Good question. I like 10 Years After. That was awesome. The Who was wiping out all their instruments was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Sly was awesome. Jimmy, I didn't get to see Jimmy. I went in a moving van with 30 people in the back, and we had to leave early, so I didn't miss Jimmy. But I got to see a lot of amazing acts. Wasn't the airplane there too? I forget.
I think it was.
I wasn't even
getting my dad's eye.
That's right.
You know? So all right.
But I like hard rock, like Zeppelin and Beatles and Stones, things like that.
That's awesome. All right, so now you guys know the premise of the show. Not the show, but the questions, right? And what we do and how we do it, right? So now we get to the questions.
Oh.
So be ready for this, because anything goes at this point, right?
All right.
So, Diane, I'm gonna start with John today because he came first.
Okay.
Right?
Good.
Make sure I can hear you.
Yeah. All right, John.
Yeah.
If you were president for one day, what would you change?
What would I
change?
What would I change?
Yes.
The laws. Lots of them.
Specifically, okay, let's pick specifically one. What would you change?
Well, right now, considering Diane and I and how we've been working on this issue, I'd like to have a law passed that implements written consent so we could protect our veterans and they know what the hell drugs they're taking and what to expect from the side effects, and have the option of doing natural treatments.
That's very good. Okay, Diane, knowing now what you know, what will you tell your 21-year-old self?
Stay in the Army longer.
I wanted to get out so bad. I was like, I'm out. But then look back, it's like, okay, yeah, you're right. You probably should have stayed. Right? Because here's another thing. Here's another thing that chops my hide, I guess. How many years did you do, Diane?
I only was able to do one tour.
Okay, so 4 years?
It was 3.
3, okay. So did you get anything out of it other than a coffee addiction and probably at some point, like me, it's cigars. But other than that, were you able to get a retirement after 3 years?
No.
Oh, what? Are you kidding me? So why is it that Congress and or representatives after a 2-year term have a lifetime benefit of these congressional benefits?
It's an excellent question, and I don't think 2 years of service really that doesn't seem like an appropriate reward, if you will.
Right. So why is it that they get that, right? And let's also say that they get private health care when they go to Walter Reed Medical, right? And yet here we are with the VA struggling. So I propose this. Why don't they also become part of the VA health system and get rid of whatever health system they have right now and let them suffer that way? See if shit doesn't get done at that point.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, they clean up the VA real fast.
Yeah.
John, I think you and I are going to be writing up a bill here pretty soon.
I like the sound of that.
You know what I mean? Like that just really upsets me greatly that after a 2-year term, they are able to get lifetime benefits.
I think if they're in for a couple months, they'd still get the lifetime benefits. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a full 2 years.
Right. But even like us, people that only do one enlistment, they don't get anything.
Right. I think you need 20 years, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Why is that? Like, how are you different than me? I serve my country in harm's way. You serve your country behind a desk. I'm sorry. Like, I think we got it right.
No, you're exactly right. In terms of the value, you have more value as far as I'm concerned. You put your life on the line, not in like you said, in a desk chair and giving talks and so
Right.
on. I mean, that could be admirable, but nothing like, putting your life in sacrificing.
Yeah. Sorry. Just.
I agree.
So I guess my next question is what is the one thing you really hate about Washington, Diane?
See,
Besides the traffic.
well, okay, that was the first thing that came to mind, I have to admit. But the second thing is the way that nothing gets done. It's like our issue that we've been working on for all this time, and we still keep having to do this over and over again every time Congress changes or
Right.
people get voted in or out of office, and we still can't get this across the finish line.
Right. John,
Yeah,
if you could get rid of one department right now in our government, what department would that be?
IRS.
Hell yeah! I think everybody on site. Yes.
Right?
I would vote for that.
I always thought if someone wanted to run for president, that one campaign, they'd probably win. I never understood why no one went with that.
And all I can think is like, I am not a crook. That's all I can think. I am not a crook. Like what Nixon said. So,
Right.
all right. I kind of lost my train of thought on that one. All right, Diane. Same question. If you were to get rid of one department right now that is inefficient and or for lack of a better term, obsolete or doesn't really need to be around, which one would that be?
Department of Education.
Right. Send it back to the states.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because I'm sorry, Linda McMahon, she knows wrestling, but she doesn't know. I don't know if she knows education.
Right.
Right. Let's jump ahead on something. What would you guys think about actually if you want to have some type of benefit? A lot of us that come back will have the GI Bill, right? The post 9/11 GI Bill, right? We're able to get VAH now, which is awesome because I remember giving the $1,200 initially for the GI Bill, $100 a month for 12 months, and then after that I get $19,000. That was the thing. That was the reason why I joined the military at first in 2000, right? Now, let's just jump into this. Why, if we are talking about Congress or any representative that is able to get lifetime benefits for this shit, why can veterans, if they go to school and they accrue all of these student loans, be forgiven?
Well, that would be great, but it would be expensive.
How much more expensive can it be for them to actually have healthcare benefits?
You're saying instead of them having healthcare benefits?
No. I'm talking about like religious. I mean, the Congress and senators and representatives have healthcare benefits for their lifetime.
Right.
Why can't veterans have the same? Like have these student loans forgiven and or allow every veteran to go to a state college for free?
I couldn't argue with that.
Right? I mean, me as 100% veteran, 100% disabled, in the state of California, where my children live, two of my boys live in California. As long as I have a 0% rating in the state of California or a 0% rating through the VA, my children can go to a state college for free.
Cool.
So San Diego State, San Francisco State, CSU or UC Santa Barbara, UC Riverside, UC Davis, those, and then Cal State, any Cal State college or university. Why can't, again, if we want to change things, let's change with that. We have a lot of student veterans that are out there that are trying to better themselves. Again, we're talking about, if we want to make an impact, make a difference, that would be one way to do it. So maybe we can put that in our bill, John.
Yeah. Ready to go.
We'll have to write a separate bill for that one.
Just write these addendums. That's fine. I mean, I got plenty of ideas, and I'm sure a lot of our audience is going to have a lot of ideas about this stuff because again, the disparity of the benefits that are being for people that serve for 2 years in Congress. Come on, that's one thing that pisses me off the most. But yeah. So anyway, all right, let's get back to the questions. Sorry, we get on these tangents, or I get on these tangents. Again, my ADHD is just going because I see squirrels. So they just come by the screen and say, all right, Diane, let's get back to you. Favorite energy drink? Did you have Rippets?
Oh gosh, what is it called? A Black Rifle.
Yes. They actually have good ones. Have you ever gone to Sam's Club? They have like the 12-pack of not macchiato, but it's black mocha, and it's just these little like tall, skinny cans, and it's super awesome. Yep, that's one of my favorites. But Rippets, I lived on Rippets when I was deployed. Rippets were awesome. I wish I had some Rippets right now because my teacher would be going crazy more than it already is. All right, John, let's get back to you. What is, aside from being a passionate advocate for veterans, what's another thing that you're passionate about?
Well, I work on a lot of issues. I work on education, human trafficking. What else am I working on? Oh, agriculture right now, working with a person that has a product that cleans up the soil of toxins and glyphosates and puts more nutrition in it. So I just look for whatever's greatest good. And if I can plug in and make a difference, I use my resources because I'm privately funded. Whoever helps me, I try to do greatest good. So
yeah.
I'm not, most lobbyists of people who do lobbying, whatever, are pretty much funded and told what to do. I like to pick and choose, what I see as greatest good. So,
and again, if you would like to donate to John's cause, veteranstrategicsolutions.com, please donate, because again, his organization and coalition is great for not just veterans, because if we do get this thing passed where written consent and informed consent, it'll benefit the entire population of the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
on human trafficking, just so you know, I work with a guy who does sting operations, and he saved 400 women already just in North Carolina.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he works with law enforcement to do that. So I'm a coalition builder, so I try to put together pieces to make whatever's going on more effective.
Mm-hmm.
And if you just link up the right resources, you can cause substantial effects. So that's everybody's got their own sort of passion. And by the way, I wanted to mention, whoever's out there, if you want to have a better life or a happier life, figure out what you're passionate about and try to make your money along that line, and you will love life.
Yes.
It makes all the difference. Don't go for the money, go for the passion, go for that which you love.
That's right.
Life becomes really worthwhile.
Exactly.
I learned that the hard way.
Veteranstrategicsolutions.com. That's where you can actually donate to John's cause. And again, please don't forget veteransinneed.org with the June 7th telethon coming to you live from Toronto, Chicago, LA, and Phoenix. There will be many, many acts. Yours truly will be doing a lot of interviews like the one here, highlighting a lot of different organizations that are helping veterans and are partnering up with People for a New America and Veterans in Need.org and Veterans First Initiative. So let's get back to the questions. You guys are not liking the questions, man. I'm telling you. All right. Actually, okay. Let's take a little break real quick. We're there. Here they go. We had a comment from one of our platforms that says the Voc Rehab doesn't make sure that you go to a valuable school that the credits can be transferred, nor tell you how little an associate's degree means in the job market. So for those of you that don't know, vocational rehab is another resource that the veterans have. The one thing about Voc Rehab, though, is that you have to be 30% or over in order for you to actually have that benefit for veterans. So if you're 30% and under, unfortunately, you won't be able to qualify for Voc Rehab. But if you are 30% and over, you'll be able to qualify for that thing. And with Woke Rehab, if I remember correctly, is that they will pay tuition. I think it's 100%, and we'll also get like a stipend for school supplies like books and or a new. I think, but wow, this is like it's been like 20 years since I actually went through it. Laptops, I believe. So it's a good resource to have. So they'll be able to actually do all this stuff. So again, if you got more information, please go to the VA.gov website, and they'll have Book Rehab. Chapter 31 would be the designation for Book Rehab. So that would be good. Oh, look, I was right. I do know my VA stuff. So, all right. Diane, if you're able to augment any benefit for veterans, what would that be?
Good Lord. I'm not sure how to pick one thing.
Well, you can pick
Augment.
bunch them all together.
I mean, I've been focused for so long now, in particular on healthcare issues, that I would think that it would have to be something along those lines, related to healthcare.
Right. Like free drugs for everybody.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so the state of Texas just went through CBD hearings, right? Where they had that stuff. What do you think about CBD and THC? Not I want to say THC induced, but CBD products for veterans to actually use? Because again, if you're 100%, or actually if you're any percent, the first thing they do when you go to the doctor and you give blood, you also give a sample.
Mm-hmm.
And if you fail that test, I mean, you fail that test and all of your benefits are gone as well. What is the take on that? I mean, you've been around legislation for a while. What is the, I don't want to say the stigma, but what is the consensus with CBD?
Well, that's an interesting question. I have never used any of those products, so I don't have any personal experience. However, my brother is also a veteran, and he's using CBD as chronic pain in the hip area. And it does seem to give him some relief. So I would say that, I certainly wouldn't be issuing that to just anybody for any problem, but for, appropriate types of things, if it can help you, then I would say you should try to take advantage of it.
I mean, that's one natural remedy to actually go through, right? We were talking about natural remedies earlier today about, for healthcare.
Right.
Yeah. Something to think about, John. Maybe we should write this another one.
I would tend to lean towards the CBD oil, not the THC, simply because, I heard, again, I've not tried it, but I've heard it's had really good effects on the body, relaxing, pain-wise, and so on with the oil. And I don't think there's any of the side effects that you would get with the THC.
Right.
So that would be
again
leaning.
Studies, right? Studies that need to be conducted.
Yeah.
But when I was at the VA today, they specifically asked me if I use recreational drugs.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
That was one of the questions. So would that be considered a recreational drug if it's prescribed by a doctor? I would think not, but.
Right. No, once a doctor's prescribing it, I don't believe that's considered recreational.
Right. It's recreation if you go across the border in Oklahoma.
Yeah, right.
It's a big difference. So Oklahoma has like, oh my gosh, a ton of dispensaries. And I mean, as soon as you literally cross the Red River, they just pop up everywhere.
It's everywhere.
They're hidden in the greens. I was like,
oh wow.
See what happens, green?
Yeah.
It's like you start seeing these the green crosses. It's funny. That's great. So, all right. I don't even know what to ask anymore. I mean, we kind of just covered so many things. And MJ has been very, very active with us tonight. I would wait. I would wait. Sorry. I would want it to be more transparent of what devices, equipment allowances, etc., are available. Not even the doctors know. You should be able to discuss with your doctor your physical issues, and they be able to easily look up things that can help you. It shouldn't take asking 10 different departments, researching online, etc., to get any device or equipment to help me live my life in less pain. And you're right. And before we start, because everybody has a horror story with the VA, the VA does have a department, or a department where pain management, right?
Yeah.
Pain management, and it's a lot of times that pain management department will push a lot of these things. But yes, you're right. More studies need to be done. Go ahead, John.
No, I was just going to say pain management. I just don't like the term. You don't want to manage pain. You want to get rid of it. And you want to get to the source of it. And to manage it means, to me, you want to medicate it over time with correct medications and balance it and try to come up with some sort of comfortable, moral life. But the side effects of that are going to be affecting you mentally and physically, and they're going to debilitate the body. So what we're missing with pain management, in my opinion, again, I'm not a doctor, I would do the blood test, do whatever kind of scans that we need to be done, and find out what's the problem. Again, I hate to go back to nutrition, hormones, and chemicals, but all those can create pain. And if you don't eliminate those, isolate those, test for those, then you're setting yourself up to be drugged. And and drugging temporarily, okay, if it's excruciating, fine. But you want to get off that path down to a healthy life. And to do that, I really advocate proper testing. And we just don't do enough testing.
We don't.
Yeah. We don't want to just mask symptoms. We want to figure out what the problem is and alleviate it.
Exactly. John, what would you like your legacy to be?
That I've been successful in helping lots of people and change as many people as I could possibly help, in whatever ways I can apply myself successfully while maintaining my integrity. Because that's the key, and that's part of the problem with our society right now. Integrity is kind of not really focused on. Right. And if you keep your integrity, you become happy and you become sort of carefree, and that you can sleep at night and try to help as many people as possible. So I guess that would be it.
I will agree to disagree with you, and I think our society has forgotten to do a lot of that, to agree to disagree. That you mentioned something in your statement here a few seconds ago, that you wish you would help a lot of people. Sir, you already have. So your legacy is being written as we speak, and I think once part of this bill is passed, then that legacy will be a lasting legacy that you will have. And that coalition that you formed will definitely be a huge legacy, and I hope that somebody will continue with that legacy, where they'll take the reins of what you've built and continue to build upon, so we can actually have much more success with our government and the way that we conduct things and the way that we approach things, especially when it comes to veteran issues. So
I was going to say that'll probably be Diane. She'll probably continue it.
Yeah.
No, I'm joking. I think you're right. There's been a lot of people whose eyes have been opened by the dialogue, bringing up something so foundational. I mean, the idea of informed consent just flew under the radar for years and years because people assumed veteran groups and so on just assume they must be getting informed consent.
Right.
Well, the doctor says they give them informed consent. However, when the veterans walk away and they don't know the side effects of the treatment options, obviously it's not true. So, we change that. We're going to change the lives of a lot of veterans. And you know what happens when you have a veteran and they have problems with the medications, or, and it disrupts them physically or injures them, it disrupts the whole family.
Right. We also need to take into consideration that it doesn't affect just veterans that suffer from PTSD. We're also forgetting our first responders, police and firemen that do that, right? So let me propose to you this, and I'm gonna send I'm gonna send you a link to one of my previous shows that I had, where I had a young lady who lost her husband in the OR. He fell over the weekend on a Friday. He fell over and sort of twisted his knee, but I think the ACL or the MCL, one of the two were messed up. Went to the ER, they sent him home. He's like, no, we just, it's inflamed. They can't really do anything, blah, blah, blah. Right. So they basically sent him home, without really doing, I want to say more for him or more due diligence,
proper diagnosis.
Correct. So they said, no, you need to go back to your primary care doctor, blah, blah, blah. So there was other issues, and you'll see the entire story, how she tells it. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, to cut to the chase, is that he goes in for a routine surgery for the knee, has an basically I don't think it's embolism, but pulmonary embolism. Yes, pulmonary embolism on the OR. And there was, and she's advocating right now to get a test done prior to any patient to go into the OR for them to do this type of thing, because they don't know whether or not it's not a thing that can happen. It's uncommon for it to happen while it's there, but it's a possibility, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think that she is having issues right now because she's trying to get this bill passed. And I think, if I connect her with you, you can kind of, I guess, sort of guide her in a way that, give her some insights as to, hey, this is what because it really is about informed consent about, what it is. Because again, you're being your own advocate about asking the right questions at the preliminary before you actually go into a surgery or whatever you're taking and stuff like that. I think that's right along those lines. So I'm going to connect you with her. Because I think that's important, because they're trying to pass this bill, and I don't know if it's gotten any. I haven't talked to her in a couple of months in regards to it, but I know they were looking for sponsorship from Congress or somebody else, but they want to make this a national thing.
It's a federal bill.
Yeah. So, okay. But they were trying to do it in the state law first here in Austin. Mm-hmm. But in Texas, but were unsuccessful. So they were going to try to send it, try to go national with it. So I will connect you with her about that, because I think you have the same passion for things like that, like human trafficking and all this other stuff. But we're not just talking about veterans here. We're talking about population, because everybody. I could go into pulmonary embolism, or you can just go for a routine thing and all of a sudden you have it. So all she's just trying to do with this bill is just to have the doctor prior to actually the surgery to ask the simple questions about the status of this. So there's a question. There's a test out there that exists. Developed by a doctor that they can actually ask, and that's what she's trying to do. Make sure that the doctor does their due diligence prior for them to go into the OR. Because you never know, these things are can happen. So
I would agree with you. I think she needs to get as much information as possible, enough testing. I keep going back to testing, but testing is so foundational.
Yes.
You want to find out what's really going on and not guess, especially if you're talking about the OR. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so she's right. And, I thank you for helping her because the more information, the better. That's what informed consent is, really. The more information, it's a risk-benefit ratio. That's what's going to be looked at and weighed, and you do that with proper information, not guesses, not assumptions, or you're throwing out your experience that you've seen it before. No, you've got to get the specifics so you can make an informed decision.
Exactly. And again, it's not just veteran issues.
No,
it's a population issues, right? Because we centralize us, but my show is centralized with veterans, but anything like this affects the civilian side as well. Regular people. Diane, any parting words that you may have for us today? Okay, good. No,
that was very succinct.
No, I know we've been talking about, like I said, it's a heavy subject to talk about, and we've come to almost to the end of the show. Actually, we've gone over the end of the show. I don't care because I'm at my house this time, so it doesn't matter how I could be on for as long as I want. To be honest with you, because I am not owned by anybody, and Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network has been awesome to me, where they give me the freedom to speak freely about anything that I want. And so thank you to Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, also BC Digital and Patriot Radio. They've been instrumental in my success here in the last few months with the show. And you guys are friends of the show. Anytime you guys want to come in and give us an update or anything you want to put out to the masses, please think of the Battle Rhythm podcast as one of your vessels to do that. So
thank you. That's our
a parting remark. I would say, be your own advocate. Speak up. Ask questions.
Yes. So MJ, again, she's been our one advocate here, says thank you folks for stepping up.
Thank you, MJ.
So I will have MJ. I will have John send you a personal message on a video. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. John is a celebrity in DC. I mean, you're very well known. I've heard lots of things about great things about you, and Richie could not speak more highly about you. And like I said, Veterans First Initiative, and you not being a veteran, just like Richie, you guys have such a passion for what you do. It's awesome to feel that, and it's just, as a veteran myself, and I'm sure Diane will agree with me 100%. It's people like you that make a huge difference, and your legacy that we talked about is being written, and you're just giving us these things, and again, God is using you for the right reasons, and people like you are few and far between. So thank you for what you've done and what you do for this community. And for everybody.
It's a team effort, my friend. We all play a role. So
yes,
the more people that become part of the team, the quicker we get the job done, the more people we save.
Exactly.
Basic economics,
Yeah, exactly. John.
Yes.
Your parting words for today, sir.
God, I guess I echo what Diane's saying. Take care of yourself, be responsible, ask questions, ask for testing. Research.
Yes.
Do your own research. Go. I know the net has some not so accurate stuff, but it has a lot of accurate stuff, and I would do a lot of research. And you can use AI. I'm finding AI has become quite important, accurate on assessing different situations. You might even throw in medical situations and find out, what are potential solutions, or what are the causes for what you're experiencing, and let AI do the research for you. It doesn't hurt to try, see if it makes sense for you.
Yes.
It's pretty much free for the most part.
Right. And again, if you would like to donate to John's cause, please remember, John works directly for or through donations and everything. So please go to veteranstrategicsolutions.com. All of his information is there. There are a lot of other interviews that I actually watched earlier today, so I could get to know John a little bit more on different things and different issues. And you can look at those interviews that he did for other podcasts as well. So look into his website, veteranstrategicsolutions.com, and please donate to his cause, because John is a great advocate to this community, to the veteran community. So please help donate to his cause, because otherwise he would not be able to do the work he does for us. So please do that for me, for you, for all of us. So with that, yes, Richie Onari, thank you so much for introducing us. Diane, it was great that you were able to join us, and I wish I was able to get more out of you, because you were just kind of quiet in the background today.
Well, John likes to talk, so.
Well, next time, you know what? I'm going to bring you on both separately next time. Be like, no, John, you're going to take a backseat today, and then we're gonna highlight Diane first. But weird. So before we go, Diane, what is next for you? What do you got cooking right
now? Well, I guess I'm looking forward to this event coming up on June 5th that John mentioned earlier. This is my focus. I'm not really working on anything else but informed consent. So if it's the last thing I do before I leave this earth, I'm gonna see this get passed.
Right. And John, what about you? What are you, besides informed consent, what else are you cooking? What is the one thing that you want to finish this year?
Well, I really do think we have a chance of passing the legislation this year based on all the veterans groups we've never had before.
Oh.
And I'm working with a former deputy secretary of the VA, and he thinks we can do this.
That's awesome.
And I'm working with a former secretary of the VA, and he's hopeful as well. So I really think this is our opportunity, and Diane and I will finally be able to take a victory dance. So that's one thing, but I'm excited about, I got to meet Robert Kennedy and some of the folks working on agriculture and cleaning up the soil, making the crops healthier, getting rid of the toxins. I just think about how that's going to help our children, our lives, kind of uplift the culture overall. That's exciting for me. Yes. And so I've got some folks that have products that clean up the soil. Actually, one guy has a product that cleans up your blood. If you've done the COVID shot and you think you might have problems with the blood, he has something that actually, he claims, cleans it up. So working on things that make people healthier, I mean, anything I can figure out that works, that's what I'm about. I want to see results, not talk.
Yes.
And anyways, that's about it.
So before we go, I need to remind you both of a great event that's coming up June 7th, that it's going to be the one and only telethon for veterans. It's going to be from 12 to 8 on June 7th, and it's going to be broadcast through many different platforms. One of those platforms is Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, also through UC Digital, Patriot Radio, also the Disability Channel in Canada. Jay Stoyan was supposed to be our first guest this evening, and he actually is the owner and founder of the Disability Channel in Canada. What these guys do, they have employment programs. So what he does is he teaches people how to do media. So the media, meaning that they're either do post-production or production, and or be a host of a podcast and or a radio TV show, whatever it is. So he gives that training. He's trying to bring that type of training or that format business model to the U.S. for U.S. veterans to take advantage of, because a lot of these people that he actually has are all for the veterans of Canada. So again, it's going to be in 4 different cities: Phoenix, Toronto, Chicago, and LA. and our friend, our very close friend, Richie Honori, will be doing some interviews himself in the LA area. So he's going to be there with Jesse Moore. They're going to be interviewing a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of musical guests that are going to be coming up. Yours truly will be doing some guests interviews with John. I also did a guest interview with the commander-in-chief for the VFW National, Al, the real deal, Liphart. He was actually on my studio last week. Came in specifically for that. It was super awesome, great dude. I'm sure, John, you've met Al through the Wickets in DC. Great man. His heart is in the right place for veterans, for the organization of the VFW. And I also have Doc Ballard, a Medal of Honor recipient, is also going to be doing an interview for us for the telethon, and working on a couple of other generals that are pretty high up there, or were high up there during the first administration of 45. So, it was cool. But again, please tune in on June 7th from 12 to 8 here on Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, VUC Digital, and Patriot Radio. We will be having that telethon completely free and without commercials, for free. So it'll be coming through here. I will send out it'll be on the websites, all the socials, and all that stuff. So please join in, tune in, and have a great time that day. And please don't forget to donate to veteransinneed.org, and also don't forget to donate to great organization of our friend John Spagnola, veteranstrategicsolutions.com. That is his website there. And before we part, I have to play you one of the greatest videos I've ever seen.
But I want an opportunity to thank you, because you did a great job as a moderator. Ask great questions, and it's just fun to be with you. So thank you.
I appreciate that. I take pride in not knowing anything.
I excel in it.
I fly under the radar quite well. At least I try. But before we go, I do want to play you guys one little tidbit, 30 seconds or so. Again, one of my favorite musicians out there. So check it out. This is for the telethon.
My name's Richie Honori with the Multi-Platinum Group, The Suite. We all owe a debt to our veterans. It's time to give back. With the Veterans First Initiative, you can make that difference right here and right now. I want you right now to open up your wallets and go to vetsinneed.org, vetsinneed.org, and make that difference our vets deserve. Thank you.
There you go, vetsinneed.org. And Rich Honori is such a cool dude, such a cool friend. So again, you guys, it was a pleasure and an honor for me to have interview you guys. So thank you guys for being such great guests and playing the stupid game of rapid fire questions. That
was interesting.
See, and I like to shock people sometimes. So that was pretty fun, because you don't know what's going to come out of my mouth sometimes. And I can thank the VA for that, because so John, pleasure meeting you, sir. Thank you so much for being so flexible on the time. And I know we've been back and forth in communication. And again, I extend an invitation for you to come back anytime you want. You have my contact information, so please don't be a stranger. At least give me a month. I'm just kidding. Don't be a stranger. You're more than welcome to come back to the show if we're able to make that happen. So
thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
You're welcome, Diane. It was a great meeting you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it was you had a lot of information for us. I know we're definitely we just scratched the surface with you in regard to the legislation, legislative, and we definitely have to do another one. I will be bringing in the national chair for the VFW, Mitch Fuller. He will be on the show here soon. So maybe when he comes on, and we'll talk about the legislative the legislation that he is working on in the national level, we'll bring you in to have an open forum and take some questions during that time. So
Okay.
I will send that invitation to you when we end. So I do have your contact information. I will send you an email when he's going to be coming on, and then we can go from there.
Okay, sounds good.
Right.
Thanks for
Awesome.
having me.
Thanks for coming on, you guys. Thank you guys for joining tonight the Battle Rhythm podcast. It has been a great honor for me to actually be able to cover this. I don't even want to say it, such an important part of our resources for informed consent and written consent. So please remember this. If there's anything you take away from the show tonight, remember this. You are your own advocate. Please note what the heck you're getting yourself into as far as what you're ingesting is the medicine and what you need to do. The doctors need to be informing you of what you're supposed to be, what you're taking and what they're giving to you or prescribing to you. So please be your own advocate, do your own research, and be adamant about what it is that you need, because no one else is going to do it for you unless you do it for yourself.
Right. Speak up.
Yes. So, and it's because of people like this that these bills exist. So thank you guys for the work that you do. John, thank you so much for the work that you're doing. And please keep us informed in any changes that happens with this bill. And if there's anything else I can do to push it to the masses, I will do that for you as well. And with that,
thanks much, Lisa. Really appreciate it.
Not a problem. This is what we're here for. Again, this is an informational type of platform that I have. And yes, God blessed me with a microphone that I bought, so I can actually make this type of a plea and or I don't know what to say suggestion, but it's a plea, because again, you have to be your own advocate. I always tell people, get involved. Grassroots campaigns are always the best because you're going to get a lot more done. Yep. Our voices as citizens, as individuals, and individuals in a group will carry much more weight if you go to your representatives, your congressman, your city, whatever it is. Get involved. If you're not getting involved, then you're just part of the problem, and you complain, but will not get involved to make the changes that you need to make. Enough said.
Amen.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening to the Battle Rhythm podcast. Tonight was Tuesday, May 20th of the year of our Lord 2025, and we will see you guys next week. Next week, I will have a great guest, another great organization called Promising People, with a couple of our friends that were actually already on part of our show earlier. So they will be here next week. Promising People. I will have all that information. John, I will have all the information for your website and everything you have going on right now. It'll be on our socials once I post it all up. Give me a couple of days because I am slow, especially because it's already 10:55, and I get up at 3 a.m. and go to work. So give me a little while. I will do that for you, but you will have a link to the show. You can post it on and embed it onto your website, because I think this show was incredibly informative. I hope that people were able to actually get a lot out of this, and we hope that that we were able to at least give you a better idea of what written consent and informed consent will do, and for everybody. So, till next week, we will see you guys then. This is Caesar once again with the Battle Rhythm podcast here on Voice of the People USA Radio and TV Network, BUC Digital, Patriot Radio, and very, very soon other platforms. So with that, I bid you adieu. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week. Thank you for watching. As we wrap up today's show, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in. Your support and engagement means the world to us, and we hope you found today's content insightful and entertaining. This episode, along with all previous shows, is available on all major media platforms. Whether you prefer to listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or watch YouTube, we got you covered. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review to help us reach more listeners just like you. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Connect with us on social media, where you can join us in our conversation and stay updated on the latest news and episodes. follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you once again for being part of the Voice of the People, USA Radio, and TV network. We look forward to bringing you more exciting content in our upcoming episodes. Until next time, take care.